Hello, everyone, and welcome to ALR Gold. And as we kick it off down under as a traditional calendar, of course, we had a random calendar, didn't we, for season 3? But it was back to the traditional one in season 4. Then, and as we kicked it off here in Australia, we've got Emerson who's leading, but Eat the Cookie, who had a fine start to his career last time out in the won a couple of races, didn't he, in season 3? There, I've got Alex Nosey with me here tonight as well. Then, Alex, what was you making going into the season 4 of ALR Gold?
Well, I thought it was an exciting time, purely because it was a brand new game as well. Sort of threw us in the deep end as we got somebody having a bit of a out of control moment there. But yeah, it's a really good way to kickstart the season as he's really going for a spin in that one, isn't he, in the Williams there? But effectively, new game. Everyone's got to get used to it, and we had I think it was about 2 weeks between the game being released, the initial release date, and the first race of the season in Gold kicking off. So it was, not much time to practice, get ready. And I think, actually, to be fair, in this race, everyone did a really good job of putting on a good show for the initial race as well.
They really did. I was expecting a bit of race rust, to be honest. I was expecting a lot more collisions, to be honest, and that's why I look forward to Australia. And I'm sure that you and the rest of the admins don't really look forward to Australia, do you? As it seems to have a lot of interesting incidents. As we're on lap 13 now here in Australia as well. Of course, the double world champion Granty is currently leading out front at the moment with Total P's there, making his debut, I think, here in Australia. Doing a fine job, wasn't he, in his first race?
Yeah, there's a couple of debutants here, as well. You can see Total Peas and Cookie as well, as we've got a bit of a coming together between the two of them, it looks like. But I think both at this point of the season, obviously the first race of the season, I think both of them were actually reserving. Of course, moved into full-time seats later on in the season as well, and pretty much until I think unfortunately Cookie had to step down midway through. But throughout the season, both of them did incredibly well, coming into ALR into the top tier straight away with no issues at all.
Really impressive, I must say. I think Pease until he had some issues later on in the season and was absolutely fantastic. He was my rookie of the season, if that probably doesn't mean much to Pease at all. As we're just watching Emerson and Droffas there. Droffas making the step up from silver to gold here. Unfortunately, him and Emerson came to blows there, which was a bit unfortunate there. But that's kind of what happens around there. It's a bit of a pinch point between 11 and 12 then as he recovers back onto the circuit as well then. So you can see all the car stream past as well. We're on board with Grant there. It's the two championship protagonists there coming side by side. Then, was you expecting the same thing for the last two seasons, Alex, where it's going to be Emerson against Granty?
Yeah, I was expecting that as well, of course. But throwing into the mix Cookie, who we knew towards the end of the 2019 game was pretty quick as well, and of course Pease, and a couple of other guys stepping up as well. We just knew that it was going to be, I think it was an even better season, or even closer season, and an even faster season as well.
It was indeed, and you've touched on the fast and faster as well, because lap records have been absolutely destroyed in this season as well. I'm absolutely amazed by how much. I think it was literally every single track that had broke a lap record apart from one or two. Absolutely mega stuff, wasn't it? We're watching the world champion from season 1, Nigel, at the moment, and he's not on a very good race. He's down in 12th position here. What did you make of Nigel's performance?
I think he had a difficult initial race. I think adjusting to the new game as we got a bit of a nudge there, but he did a sportsmanlike thing and let Droftus carry on. But carry on ahead of him. But Nigel, I think he struggled to adapt to the new game as we got a bit of a traction loss there for the Ferrari driver. Around he goes. So Nigel, he sort of struggled to adapt to the new game initially. I think he's on the wheel, so it might be a bit more difficult for him learning the new mechanics. In terms of the driving style and the actual handling of the handling model, I think has changed as well quite a bit as Emerson comes through for P2 there against Granty. But I think obviously some people adapted to the game quicker and some people didn't, and I think that was what's unfortunate for Nigel there.
It was, and as we come to the end of the first race in Australia, Nigel was out of the points as well. Cookie started off the season, I think that was his third Grand Prix win in a row. He was on absolutely fine form. Emerson with a strong second, Granty in third position as well. Lights had a very good race in Australia as well, and really was emerging as an early championship favourite there. Good stuff indeed then. Alhan, we'll talk about him more later on in the review as well, but we'll come to see how amazing his season's been as well as we take a look at some of the retirements as well then. Netherlands. We had a full grid in Australia as well. Not many incidents in that one either. Then, so which I got to say was really impressive, as you mentioned earlier on as well. And as we are now just finishing off the classification, and there is the table at the moment. You notice that Cookie is not a full-time driver yet, so it's the moment. It is Emerson top of the standings. Then good stuff indeed there for Emerson. Then in the constructors as well, Red Bull are taking a early advantage as well. 19 points over Freddie in front of Renault and of course the defending constructors champions Williams. Then as we get on to the next race as well, which we are jumping all the way into Vietnam. Then I say all the way into Vietnam. It's only the round 3, and it's a very wet start to Vietnam. I think this was the first wet race of the season. Alex, what did you make of this race, and how difficult is it to race on a new circuit on wet conditions?
Well, as the league admin, I was dreading it because I thought, especially with these conditions and a new track, like you said, it's prime conditions sort of thing for lots of incidents, lots of accidents and coming togethers. And I think this was probably, it could have been, I think overall, one of the best races of the season for Gold. Everybody did a really good job, and on top of that, the racing was really entertaining to watch.
It really was. I echo that as well. How these conditions were absolutely appalling to begin with here in Vietnam, and it was a new track as well. And I was very excited. And as you mentioned there, you was very nervous, weren't you? Lights taking the early advantage as well. And again, Young Lights is showing that he is incredible, isn't he, on this game there? And he was an early championship contender as well. And even a rival in Cookie as well. And Cookie was quite at this stage of the ALR campaign. He was undefeated as well in every single race he participated in ALR. He had not finished anywhere apart from first as well. We've got Pillars then, who is a latest driver in Gold. He was a reserve at this time then, but of course they did make a step up to Gold later on. As we're on board Granty, as a far shot and Drofast there are having a bit of a drag race going down the back straight then. And you can see the dry line is appearing as well. I wasn't expecting rain in Vietnam then, but I must say I don't know much about the Vietnam weather conditions and things like that, but I thought it was going to be nice and dry there. I was expecting to get a tan on. And you've got far shot and Granty then, who are really getting very interested with each other as well. Far shot at this stage of the season, and I think it was as high as 6 in the championship as well. Far shot started off really well. What would you make of his start of the season, Alex?
I think he's had some really good races. Of course, later on in the season, claiming a few, a couple of podiums and also some better points than he was expecting, I think. It's just the races in between. I think a bit of inconsistency in terms of scoring, involved in a couple of incidents here and there, where it's possible that if things had gone his way, then it would be even better for him in the standings. But overall, I think he's put in a good show, as of all the drivers this season as well. And you can see here battling with Granty and Droftas, two pretty quick guys as well.
I think that one of the positive things I'll take away from Gold at the beginning of the season was that so many quick drivers there as well. We're looking at Granty and Farshot again, both race winners. Of course, Granty a double world champion. We got Emerson also in the mix as well there. Of course, 2 times runner-up in the ALR and Gold Championship as well. And look at this, Farshot never leaves a space, does he? Goodness me. I absolutely love watching Farshot, but sometimes he does give as good as he gets, doesn't he? Goodness me, as we go down to the hairpin as well. We're on lap 13, and it's you've got Emerson now breezing past the Granty there. Is these two? I feel that we kind of missed the trick really this season with Granty and Emerson. I think that Emerson there, well, I'd say that, and Granty showing him the rear wheel there of Emerson. Now, I don't think Emerson was too fond of that, was he? To be fair, we've got Milan in third position as well. Milan another debutant as well. I think that this was his first pole position of ALR. No, it wasn't. It was China. My apologies. But Milan is very quick in qualifying, wasn't he, Alex?
Yeah, I think one of the best performers in qualifying overall. I think he's really put in a good show in qualifying. He knew how to get the most out of the car in one lap rather, and often it put him in the top 3 or certainly in the top echelons of the grid anyway off the start. I think it's just getting the race strategy right and getting the performance in the race, and equaling that with his qualifying pace that he needs to work on for the next season. But if he gets that right, he'll he'll be winning races left, right, and centre. I think next season. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do next season as well.
And that's a very good point you make then. So we're on board Cookie as he's slipstreaming young lights out. It may look easy at the front then, but it really isn't. And I hate to bring Milan up as an example, but he's so good in qualifying. But unfortunately, the races, as you mentioned there, just couldn't get the strategy right, or he seemed to get involved in instances where he possibly and probably shouldn't have been there, kind of thing. Because strategy is always put him on the back foot, and Cookie there taking a beautiful, having a beautiful maneuver there to take over young lights as well. But young lights at this stage was absolutely fantastic. I think from then on, as soon as we can transition to the dry race there, I think Cookie really had the measure over Young Lights. Young Lights, I think, went on a different strategy there. He went on the medium tires, and Cookie went on the soft tires, and that was the advantage there. And I think that might have been down to it. It was one of the first times these drivers was racing in Vietnam as well. Cookie taking, I think that was his 5th Grand Prix win of his career in like 5 races. Fantastic there. Young Lights and Total P's there, the Red Bull team were absolutely brilliant to start the season off as well. Emerson in a disappointing 4th. Murphy there coming through the field from 17th to 5th. Fantastic stuff indeed there. And we got Nigel also in the points as well. Farfar would be disappointed down 10 because I remember mentioning that Farfar was going to be a championship contender. I was a bit wrong on that, and I think that he was a bit unhappy with me because I gave him the old Jink commentator's curse, didn't I? Also, we got Granty, unfortunately, out of the points as well, having a difficult start to his campaign there. Young Lights is impressive form now. It took him to the top of the standards there. You can see he jumped up 4 positions. Fantastic stuff there. Emerson is now 2nd at the moment, then Granty dropping down 2 positions then. In the constructors, then we have Red Bull. They're just extending the lead then from the new team. AlphaTauri is 2nd at the moment. Good stuff indeed then. It's still very much nip and tuck though in the drivers and the constructors standards as we head on to Spain and round 6 as well. I got to say, this Spanish Grand Prix was absolutely mega, I thought. Unfortunately, I think Emerson had a couple of gremlins to begin with, didn't he? He had a couple of disconnections, didn't he? Which unfortunately added up to his DNF total, really, which wasn't good, was it?
I think, well, again, I do remember what you mean. It was the first initial races, probably 5 or 6 races, including this one, that there was some connection issues for, it wasn't just Emerson, but I think it affected Emerson the most. There was some connection issues with the game being new, and obviously the mechanics and the connections of Codemasters being what they are. It has improved over the course of the season as well. I think with the patches and things that have come out, they've enabled things to get make it a bit smoother in terms of lobby connections and things like that. But yeah, it was unfortunate for Emerson. I think he could have really maximised some more points out of the first sort of 6 or 7 races as well because of these internet issues that he had that affected his point scoring.
And up until this season, Emerson only had 2 DNFs in season 2 and season 3 combined now. So this season, his DNF record was quite appalling compared to what it was before. And we had a first. I think that was the first initial time we've seen Mr. Elite in these highlight packages. And I got to say, he is absolutely a fine driver, isn't it? We'll see more of Mr. Elite later on then, and you see the 2 Reynolds there are doing. I think a bit of. I'm not sure if that was meant to be teamwork or not, then, but beautifully boxed drop pass in there. So I'm not sure if I'll be too fan of that, too happy about that then. But of course, Ferrari have done that before in the past, haven't they? In the real world of Formula 1. So just watching Emerson there, who's making a storming drive back through the field as well. I spoke to Emerson, I think towards the end of the season there, and asked him what was his favourite moment of the season, and he did actually highlight this race as being one of his most strongest races. Then McLaren, who I was expected to be so good in the constructors this season, unfortunately that didn't prove to be the case at all. So just watching Granty and Pease, and I got to say this is like the new guard versus the old guard here, because I think this was Pease's first race as a full-fledged ALR driver, driving the racing point as well as him and Granty was having a doozy of a battle. I really enjoyed this one as well. I bet you did as well, Nosey, because you're a racer in your own right, aren't you?
It was it was great fun to watch this one. I think there was a few, as we're on lap 25 now, but there was a few sort of teething incidents at the beginning of the race, which is obviously where you expect incidents to occur, mainly because of obviously them being so close together. But I think actually in terms of the racecraft overall this season, compared to season 3 as well, everybody's done a really great job of actually paying more respect to the drivers on track. As the same in real F1, if there's an incident, Obviously, where we saw something like Grosjean's incident in Bahrain, where obviously he managed to escape the burning car, but did a great job on that. But everybody was asking on the team radio, are they okay, straight away? And I think that the respect on track needs to be brought into online racing as well. And as we've seen that in Season 4, compared to Season 3, much more as well.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point you bring up there. Thinking about it, the incidents, we've had some huge crashes in the ALR this season, but it hasn't been with other drivers. I think a lot of drivers have, it just shows how difficult these cars are to drive, but they're faster, which means that when you go into the wall, you don't go into the wall with a much higher velocity. And goodness me, we've seen Jonathan making his 50th Grand Prix appearance in Spain, and he went to the wall quite heavily as well, which I think that marked off his 50th Grand Prix with a bang, I would say. As you can see, both McLarens down near the bottom of the classification as well, which is a bit unfortunate for those two drivers as well. Going to the Drivers' Championship, then Cookie is now top of the stands there after he signed with the AlphaTauri team. Then 33 points in front of the world champion, granted there, Emerson trying to claw his way back up in the constructors there. Red Bull are now 21 points in front of the defending constructors champions Williams as well. Renault down in 5th position at the moment. Then they're having a bit of a difficult start to the season. We jump up to the halfway mark now of ALR. Goodness me, I can't believe it's 22 races these days. Jonathan getting his first pole position of his season there, which remember last season he had 9, I think, 9 pole positions, I believe, or something like that. P's there in second at this moment, and Emerson tucking in behind as well. And you can see them got a couple of cars off in the background, but that's kind of what you expect here at the Red Bull Ring. It's a simple old circuit, the Red Bull Ring is, but goodness me, it's so difficult to master, isn't it?
You know me, I don't like this circuit at all. It never goes well for me in league racing. I think this race was actually really good, from memory anyway, in what happened with the battles and the overtakes that actually happened as well. Yeah, I think everybody did a really good job, as we've got a bit of argy-bargy going on there with Favre. No surprises there. But yeah, everyone did a really good job. I think Jonathan, like you said, slowly throughout the season, as well as Nigel, like we touched on earlier in Australia, got to grips with the game, began to adapt to the game as well, and it really started to show in their performances as well. Of course, Jonathan getting pole position in this race, and of course leading at the moment almost halfway through as well, which is a good shout out to him. But yeah, just touching on Renault again, like you said, at the end of the standings there in the last race, they were about sort of mid-table, weren't they? And it really sort of, from this point on, I think it was this race onwards, the second half of the season was pretty much all them, and they did a great job of turning the standings around in their favour.
They did indeed, and as Knowlesy said, then it's really going to swing around in their favour coming up later on in this review as well. Just watching Pease and Jonathan there having a good old dice as well. Yeah, I think that's what I quite liked about this season. I don't really like to see drivers struggling and things like that, but I do love to see new battles. Like, for example, Pease and Jonathan, I was absolutely loving this. I remember on the stream just getting so excited about this. I think that my neighbours thought I was doing other things there, probably going to a rock concert or something. I was screaming that loud. So Pease are going on the outside as well. Great stuff indeed then. And then Emerson also joined the battle as well. Then I think, unfortunately, this didn't go according to plan there, but as you said about the respect on track there, this kind of close racing, I think, last season might have ended slightly differently, and or a lot worse than what it actually did then, as we got Pease out just really on the back end there of Jonathan as we're going down into turn 4 as well, really keeping the pressure on Jonathan. I think at this stage they're doing an absolutely fine job though of keeping that McLaren at bay, and then Emerson there once again there finding he's having to claw his way back through the field, isn't he, with either a difficult qualifying or issues that he just seems to run into at the early stages of this championship as well. And he is half the reason of Renault, I should say. They're really clawing up in the constructors as well, as we've got Pizzo now on the inside as well, and I think this is where they had a bit of argy-bargy, didn't they? But they came out very clean as well. But as Nigel unfortunately is out of the race, and look at this, and this is fantastic, isn't it? Every time I watch this, Alex, you must forgive me, I just get so excited that I just keep waffling away about how great this racing is. But this was like lap after lap after lap. My goodness me, I could have just put the whole of this race in this review, but unfortunately we've got places to be, haven't we?
Well, I just want to say, back again to that point, is that I think, like you said, the racing's got so much closer this season. and it's just a credit to the guys that, like you said, there has been more respect as well on track and in the chats as well afterwards, of course. To show that as well, it makes it more fun for the guys who are driving in this situation. Oh, we've got a bit of banging wheels there, but yeah, it makes it more. Like I said, there's more actual wheel to wheel racing in this season than I think we had to put together when this race was even put together last season. And yeah, there's going to be incidents here and there, but we want everyone to enjoy themselves, have a bit of fun. We've got Liam making a reserve appearance, who's going to do a great job for us next season as well in gold. Looking forward to seeing him racing as well. And yeah, there's been a few guys who've unfortunately parted ways, but everyone did a great job for the season, especially like you can see in this race. There's some great strategy calls, some great wheel-to-wheel racing, and hats off to the guys for putting on a good show.
Indeed, and going back to that little argy-bargy moment down in turn 3, I think if something like that happened last season, I think there would not have been as much respect this season, which I've got to say is absolutely hats off to all the drivers there as well. Caesar taking his first Grand Prix win of ALR Gold then. He was becoming a bit of a thorn in the side then for the likes of Emerson and Total Peace then. As Alhan did apparently win there, but I think that there was a glitch in the lobby, which is standard stuff in the first half of the season, wasn't it? So Caesar took the win there. Emerson on the podium as well then, but it was incredible, wasn't it, to see Caesar and Pease there against Emerson and Grant. I absolutely love that as well. Drofast there, once again, doing a good job for the Ferrari team. Jonathan, after being on pole position, down in 10th position as well, I'd be a bit disappointed with that, I feel, at the end of that. But as we already seen there, he did have a bit of a coming together as well as we're just going down there. So there's not as many penalties. Well, I said there's not as many penalties. There's a lot on the right-hand side there, but there wasn't as many penalties as there was the season before then. Emerson takes the lead in the championship. That's the first time we took the lead in the championship this season there, as a Cookie dropping down to 2nd position as well. Caesar moving up 6 positions then. In the constructors, Renault then, remember where they were last time. They was 5th. Now they've jumped all the way up to 1st. Fantastic 17. Racing Point also start to climb up the table as well. I think Ferrari's going in the opposite way by then. And now we jump to round 18 in Japan then. And we got 27 laps around probably one of the best circuits in the world. Unfortunately, we was robbed of what would have been a fantastic race there because Emerson was out before he even got to turn 1 there. Goodness me, it was a disaster into turn 1. And it was a bit, I got to say at this point, and I was absolutely gutted there. I do sound like I'm an Emerson fan more often than not, then, but I feel we was robbed of an absolutely cracker head there.
Yeah, it was a bit of an odd one that because it looked like there was the Renault sort of spun got clipping wheel sort of thing before we even got to turn 1 and unfortunately ended Emerson's race there, which is a bit of a shame. Well, it's not good to see anybody retire from any race really, to be honest, is it? But yeah, it was like I said, a good track to for round 18 to sort of it makes the final few races quite interesting because you can get a lot of points here over your rivals if something goes wrong for them, can't you? So it was interesting, unfortunately for Emerson, but it did actually play a bit of a role in the title fight in the end.
It did indeed, and that was such a shame, wasn't it? And I think it's a difficult turn 1 around here, isn't it? Because we had action in silver and bronze as well, if I'm not very much mistaken. On board with Alhan at the moment, there is Alhan there showing that he's got consistency as well as Farfair. He's never shy of sticking his nose in, sometimes where it doesn't belong, but he was trying to go on the outside in Degna 1. And we've also got Indian Jesus, also I think this is one of his first couple of races in ALR as well, doing a good job there. And the strategy is now starting to come into play then. Alhan was in the hard tires at this stage. Jonathan swapped to the soft tires then, so he was going to be quite quick at this stage of proceedings then. But unfortunately, I think that this was the time in the race there where Jonathan needed to get the overtakes done. But unfortunately, I don't think that was the case there. Alex, how difficult is it to overtake around this track, and how difficult is it to try and nail that overtake when you need to, knowing that your rivals are on different strategies?
Well, you've only got probably say 2 opportunities here. I think you've got obviously 130R and the chicane just afterwards, I suppose, as well, and the DRS zone into turn 1, like we're looking at right now. So there's limited opportunities around this track. It is a very narrow track. And of course, Sector 1 is pretty much corner after corner, isn't it? So it's quite difficult to try and manoeuvre or make an overtake round there. In terms of strategy around here, it's mediums to softs or softs to mediums. Obviously, a few guys here have gone on the hards. I think Alhan himself had had a wing issue at the very beginning of the race, 2 or 3 laps in, put the hards on from there, and we'll see where he finishes. But he did a great job, I think, actually, in terms of maximising the points that he could get with a alternative strategy. But everyone did a really good job in this race. I think as Salmon Pike there has caught or was clipped Jonathan there, but I think that was fair enough, to be fair, from Jonathan. But getting the strategy right is very important for any race, including this one, of course. But everybody, even with on the alternative strategy like Mr. Elite there and Alhan on the hards, and Guna as well down in P13 there at the moment. But everyone did a good job putting on an entertaining race. What a save there! I just saw that from Indian Jesus. It was quite a good save that was to not go in the wall.
I gotta say, some of the saves were amazing this year. Unfortunately, he didn't save that time, though, did he? He had a problem down at Dunlop, and he's lost the whole wing there. To be fair to Jonathan as well, the spin with Salmon Pike, I think Salmon Pike was on like 20 lap old medium tyres there, so those tyres were well past their best there. And we see Mr. Elite there now. He's really beginning to shine at this stage of the season now, and this is what got Renault got the advance there. Emerson, unfortunately, was having a bad day in the office. Well, he didn't even get in the office, did he? Unfortunately, as he was out before he even got to turn one. Clarkey there. Going past one of the lap cars there and taking the win then. And I got to say, Clarkey I'm really looking forward to seeing what Clarkey could do next season against Emerson. I'd love to see them two in a proper full season battle there. That's going to be good stuff. Jonathan getting up. I think that was his first podium visit of the season, believe it or not, in round 18. Jonathan is very good on tracks like Japan now, isn't it? Where he really rewards the driver then. So good stuff indeed. Alhan there making a couple of visits to the podium as well. I think he had 5 in total in the end. Then Mr. Elite there just outside the podium places, but 12 valuable points there for the Renault team as well. And just looking down there, and congratulations to Nosey. I think that was your first point in over a season in ALR, so well done there.
Thank you very much.
As I'm just looking down for the rest of the DNF runners there as well, and you see there is Emerson there. I think he was the championship leader at this point then, but I remember talking to him, he was absolutely furious then, but he still had a 40-point lead, didn't he, over Pease, and 50-point lead over Granty, the double world champion. You see Alhan has moved up to 4th now. Mr. Elite there on a fine season there as well. Renault have now got a 72-point lead, haven't they? As we've skipped further into this season there, they have absolutely been brilliant, haven't they? AlphaTauri moving back at the 3rd position as well. Racing Point also moving into the top half of the constructors as well. On to Mexico now, and I think that this was the first mathematical time where Emerson could really go for the championship as well then. So it was going to be a very tense affair then, and I got to say, I was very tense on my old calculator as we got Granty there, siving down into turn 1 there, and we had a bit of the old version of Granty where I feel that this season we just didn't see the best of him. I'm not sure if he just didn't like the Formula 1 2020 cars, but I think that this first stint there we did see the old version of Granty, but unfortunately he did come a bit short here. We also see Cartboy, who I think is going to have an outstanding future in gold. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do next season as well. Got a bit of debris going on there, as I think that was a fire shot there, but doing a bit of spin me around kind of thing there, but I'm not sure Kyle Malone's going to be happy with that one. We've also got Emerson there now taking the lead over Granty as well then. But how difficult is it to be to get your mind focused and knowing that you'll be able to win a championship at the end of a race then? Is it just can you just focus on the one race then, or do you have to think about the championship?
The best thing to do is not think about the championship at all and just worry about the race coming up. Worry about the stint coming up was what I really used to do, and just make sure that you can maximise your speed, the gap to your rivals, of course, as well. In that stint, in that race, maximise the points you can get as well. Obviously, sometimes you can't get the win every time. You can't get the win, you can't take the lead and win from lap 1 all the time as well. But as some people can, of course, but I never could. You just need to keep focus, and the best way to do that is forget about the championship for that race. Maximise the points you can get in the race that you're in, for example Mexico, and make sure you can extend the lead or extend the points gap if you can, and that's all you need to worry about really.
Blimey, that's easier said than done, isn't it? I got to say, I struggle to even think one lap ahead then. So it's absolutely incredible how these drivers can not only race against each other, but also have to think about their strategies and going wheel to wheel with each other. I think it's absolutely superhuman. I've said that so many times this season as well. So I can't remember saying it a lot often the past couple of years, and so it's just a testament of how brilliant this season's been. Then Emerson takes the lead from Grant as well. They are on separate strategies, of course, at this stage of proceedings. Then and look at this, this gets very good, doesn't it? It's Clark there who was having an absolutely fine race. I'm sure he was near the back of the field to begin with, but really dipping his toe in the front of the field. Then when you see a driver like Clark at the back of the field, do you expect him to come through the field and really start to cause you issues later on in the race? Then
I believe he had a Q2 ban, which is why I think he started around 15th, I believe, something like that, or 14th. But well, somebody of Clark's ability, I expect to come through the field. Obviously, there's always the chance, starting further back, that there's going to be incidents or issues with other drivers as they come through the field, but not in this case. And usually, in Clarky's case, whatever race it is, it's not the case anyway, because he's a very clean driver as well. So yeah, like you said, fantastic having with us, and for next season as well, when he's got a full season, because obviously he only joined halfway through this season. For next season, I think he's going to take the fight to Emerson, to Pease, to anybody else who wants to go for the championship as well, and really knuckle down and should be on for the top three at least, I think.
Oh, I'm getting too excited for next season, but of course we've got to focus on Christmas first, haven't we? But it's going to be a slow couple of weeks for me, I've got to say, as I live and breathe Formula 1, especially commentating on ALR. So just watching Caesar there just go past the pit in there. Clarky took the lead there, and you notice though that we've got a new feature which really helps me. Well, I try and helps me, but I've got to say I don't even know how to use it most of the time. But you can see the penalties there, and Emerson did cross the line second, but that doesn't make a difference there because he didn't have a penalty. And this was the moment where he was crowned the world champion there, and he's been a runner-up twice now. He finally got the big one there. What is your comments there on Emerson this season?
Fully deserved, mate. He absolutely smashed it. I think, like you said, second half or latter half of the season, he really pushed on, got lots more wins under his belt, and that's what gave him the points to win the Drivers' Championship. And there's nobody could beat him this season. You can tell that by the number of wins. I think it was 9 wins, something like that. He did a great job all season. Obviously, battled through the issues at the beginning of the season with the connections. Still got some points through those races as well, and it just showed the class at the end of the season.
He did indeed, and that's just confirmation. 82 points in front of Pease, in front of Granty, and 84 points in front of Pease. That was Granty's last ALR race as well, which didn't end on quite a high note that he would have liked. Then Renault then was on the verge of being constructors champion as well. I think it was a point away actually. If Dan didn't overtake Mr. Elite with 1 lap to go, the Renault would have been the constructors champions there as well. And now we're on to the final race in Abu Dhabi, and as we the lights go green then for one more time this season as well. Only 15 cars in this race. I think everyone is already clocked off for Christmas then. Emerson having a perfect start as well. Alhan up in the second position there. Alhan, of course, having a race win as well this season. He's won in silver, now in gold as well. So good stuff indeed there for Alhan. It was great to see Nigel up there as well. We spoke about Nigel at length, haven't we, in this review, about how he struggled. He's really come on form in this race as well. As we see, look at all these cars that are coming down now into the second chicane. Now, it was getting very squeezy there, wasn't it? Goodness me. I think that it was a bit of last race kind of excitement there, wasn't it? They couldn't contain themselves, could they? It was really good to watch for me there, but great stuff indeed. Mr. Elite in a very fine 6th position as well there. Whilst we're in the final race then, Alex, do you think that this season 4 has been a success? Obviously it's been a success for the Renault team and for Emerson as well, but who else has really caught your eye this season?
I think FIFA Beefy's caught my eye actually, in terms of he came in as a reserve actually later on in the season, but he's done a great job as a driver himself to get some points for Red Bull. Of course, he was in the Silver League previously, but went back to reserve because I think he had some issues with the tirings. But since he came in, he's done a great job as Mr. Elite was letting his teammate there through, but it sort of disabled his or what did it do? It sort of disabled his ability to keep control of the car, and anyway, didn't it? And made him lose control. But in terms of, I don't think there's actually individual performances that you can sort of pinpoint as the best drivers this season. I think everybody's done a great job at certain points of the season and certain races as well. I think shout out to the new boys, Quaz, who we're looking at now, who's done a great job. Unfortunately, he's got a broken wing here, but he's done a great job in the season since he came in as well. Cart White, who came in for the last few races, who's done a fantastic job as well. And everybody else who's actually taken part in the season throughout. I've lost count of how many people it was and all the names, but everyone who's actually raced in ALR Gold this season, hats off to you. You've put in a great show, and thank you for being part of ALR Gold in season 4.
Yeah, I echo that as well. It's been absolutely brilliant stuff as well. I've loved watching each and every one of you. It's been absolutely brilliant as well. As just watching Cart there, and FIFA going into the back of Cart there, he misjudged his breaking point. There was Nigel also getting very interested in that as well. Nightwing then, who unfortunately Nightwing I don't think has finished a race at the moment, has he, in his career in ALR Gold? But hopefully he will. He was leading this race at the moment, but I think that was a full storm then, as he had a drive-through penalty. So we was interviewing Emerson after this race, and that was unbeknownst to Emerson. He was really pushing on at this stage as well. It was a race of 2 or 3 halves, really, wasn't it? Because we had Nightwing and Emerson, and then we had a bit of a 5-second gap there, as Fireshot was on course for a second podium of the season here, as both McLarens there really didn't have a great season, did they? And so just watching their Cart going through and up into 6th position there. I'm a big fan of Cart, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do next season, as I've already mentioned in this review. So I'm really looking forward to what he can do next season. And as Emerson there making a late call for the soft tyres there, as he's on a sprint finish. He's on a sprint finish then in his ALR championship winning season as well. Got 2 racing points leading at the moment. And Mr. Elite there has climbed his way up in the 4th position as well. Mr. Elite there was battling Caesar for the final trophy place, isn't he, as well? Of course, the top 3 gets trophies, and it was between Mr. Elite and Caesar at this stage. Alhan already confirmed that he was second, and shows how great Alhan's been this season as well, hasn't he? He's been a regular podium scorer with 5, I think. Mr. Elite there, who's I think had 2 podiums in the end, but it's been his consistency of just getting on the podium time after time again. No DNFs as well for Mr. Elite in this season as well. He was very close there, as he was very generous letting Emerson through there, maybe a bit too generous there for Mr. Elite's liking. And you can see as Nightwing unfortunately gets disqualified as well for wrong tyre compounds, and that's the first time that's happened this season in the ALR, and I think that's only like the second time it's ever happened in the ALR then, so that's a bit of a shame there for Nightwing. And Emerson crosses the line to win the final race in Abu Dhabi. Brilliant stuff for Emerson, absolutely fantastic stuff indeed then. And Nosey, and I think that this is your final season as admin gold then for the time being then.
Yeah, I'll be joining the driver lineup for next season in season 5, just to see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. Looking forward to season 5. I think it's going to be a really good season. Everyone's going to be used to the game now. Of course, we had one season in 2020, and then we're going to have one more season on the sort of the second half of the 2020 game, beginning of 2021, of course. So looking forward to season 5. I'm looking forward to racing with all these guys, and hopefully they can carry on the good form that they had in season 4. Into next season, and it'll provide some cracking races for you to commentate on.
And I can't wait for that then. Winter and the breaks are just too long for me, in my opinion. Maybe we should just race all year around then. And that is it. That is the final championship standings. And Mr. Elite, congratulations on getting the bronze trophy. Alhan silver, and Emerson, of course, the world champion. Relegations there for King Zoma, Indian Jesus, and Nightwing, unfortunately. And in the constructors, Renault also confirmed the champions weather. Up next is the awards then. So keep watching, see who's won. Goodbye.
But Clarkey is through and up into the 4th position. He's come from
ride, I think, now. And in fact, there's really enticing stuff. There's a Ferrari of Beastie. And I've got to say, all of a sudden, Mr. Elite has really started to put in the toe back again, hasn't he? Goodness me. And good stuff indeed done. Season now is one more FIFA at the moment. Clark, he was honing in on him, but Clark, but Mr. Elite not taking too much of the outside curve then, because he's now in a race mode, isn't he? He's on qualifying mode there, you have to use every inch of the circuit into the pits. There comes a Jesus then. So, Jesus. Crosses the line first, Milan wins the Grand Prix, Pease wins the British Grand Prix. Alhan in 9th position there in the second Mercedes. Once again, Alhan has just put together a nice clean race there. This might be a second point finish for Alhan. 2 races. Love field, look at this incredible side-by-side action for Alonso in Vettel S there from 2014. Took advantage of the virtual safety car, and he hasn't looked back since then. He's put on those medium tires. He's done